disgusted me. I have a problem with this guy. He really annoys me. But the thing is, I know it's rage bait, but I just can't let it go, man. He makes me so mad. Nick Wright, Nick Wright is definitely his dad, man. They've truly mastered rage baiting to the point where I really felt the need to do this video. But his whole argument this time is that Kobe Bryant has zero GOAT case, and because of that, we shouldn't even be talking about Kobe Bryant. And of course, it's always the LeBron Goblins. They're the only people that always have to eliminate Kobe Bryant. So when I make a video and I explain to you that
the broadcast went live, the microphone picked up every word, and the entire basketball world went into an immediate frenzy. A prominent LeBron superfan looked straight into the camera and declared that Kobe Bean Bryant had zero case in the greatest of all time debate. It was not just an opinion, it was an aggressive, calculated hit piece designed to rewrite NBA history in broad daylight. Millions of fans watched in pure disbelief as decades of championship dominance were dismissed in seconds. The narrative was set, the battle lines were drawn, and the war over basketball immortality reached a boiling point nobody was ready for.
what he had to say, we're going to stop and analyze his nonsense as we go through it.
Is as strong as my GOAT case. There is none. Let me be crystal clear. Kobe Bryant has absolutely no argument to be the GOAT. And it's not even debatable. How can you be the greatest player of all time when you're not even the best player at your own position?
First of all, I actually don't think Kobe Bryant is the GOAT. I think that's between Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's not because Kobe doesn't have the talent. I just have to be honest about the fact that Kareem and Michael have a lot of accolades. Outside of those two, I don't really think, and also, nobody is as good as Kobe Bryant except...
The core of this viral hit piece relied on one massive deceptive claim that instantly spread across social media feeds. The creator argued that because Kobe was not universally ranked ahead of Michael Jordan at the shooting guard spot, he was automatically disqualified from ever being considered the ultimate icon. It sounded like an airtight technicality, but it completely manipulated the fundamental rules of how legacy is measured. Redefining greatness by forcing players into narrow positional boxes is an old tactic used to protect another superstar. But when you look beneath the surface of this manufactured argument, the real motivation becomes impossible to ignore.
Greatest scorer of all time, potentially. The only person, once again, that has any argument in that case is maybe Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan never scored 81 points in a game. Michael Jordan didn't average 40 for a month, I don't think, as many times as Kobe Bryant did. Michael Jordan didn't score 63 points before another team did. Michael Jordan does have the greatest average of all time in the playoffs and the regular season. So if it's going to be anybody, okay, you could give it to Mike and I won't be mad. But Kobe Bryant did things that no one else will ever really do. Bam's 83 is not, and I know Kareem had 100, but in the modern...
To understand why this attack happened now, you have to realize the extreme lengths LeBron loyalists go to protect their hero from critical comparisons. Whenever pressure mounts regarding finals losses or disappearing in crunch time, the playbook is always the same: shift the target and tear down Kobe Bryant. Mainstream television pundits and their digital disciples have turned this into an art form, manufacturing arbitrary checklists that constantly change depending on who they want to boost. They know that Kobe's raw skill, fearless mentality, and defensive grit make him a nightmare matchup in any authentic peer-to-peer debate.
The game. It's Kobe. So for this guy to sit up here and say he's not the best, I don't give a freak about your longevity. LeBron's longevity means nothing to me. Tell LeBron to go score 70 points in a game. Tell LeBron to average 40 for a few months in a season. Tell LeBron to score 63 before the other team did, and he won't because he's too busy passing the ball to people that can shoot better than he can. Kobe Bryant didn't need to pass the ball. He passed the ball when he absolutely had to, but if you left him ISO anywhere, the guy who's guarding him, even as great as they could be, Tony Allen, Bruce Bowen, Tayshaun Prince, rack 'em, stack 'em. They're all getting doo-dooed on.
The next major deception in the smear campaign was the claim that Kobe was never the most important factor on his own championship teams. The argument tried to paint him as nothing more than a secondary passenger riding the coattails of an unstoppable physical center. They conveniently ignore the fact that the Western Conference was a brutal bloodbath where perimeter dominance was the only way to survive. Hall of Fame executives and opposing coaches knew the reality. Without Kobe carving up elite perimeter defenses, there was no dynasty in Los Angeles. The narrative of him being carried is pure historical revisionism at its absolute worst.
LeBron a better defender than Giannis? Is he a better rebounder than Giannis? I don't think so. Giannis is better at those two things as a complete player. Is he better overall than Joker? No. Russell Westbrook actually averaged multiple triple-doubles. Has LeBron? So what makes LeBron a better overall player than Russell, than Joker, even maybe than Magic Johnson? Magic was averaging double-doubles like it was cake. LeBron averaged a double-double 1 year, I think. Larry Bird was averaging double-double.
The receipts from that golden era completely shatter the media illusion that Shaquille O'Neal had to do everything on his own. Boston Celtics legend Danny Ainge went on record during the historic title defense, explicitly calling 22-year-old Kobe the true driving engine of the franchise. While talking heads tried to ignite an internal feud about shot selection, Kobe was averaging nearly 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists while locking down the opponent's primary offensive threat. Even Shaq publicly admitted during their most dominant playoff stretches that Kobe was playing like the undisputed best basketball player on the planet.
So here's the thing. First of all, LeBron James really wasn't better than Anthony Davis, in my opinion. Andre Iguodala came out and said that the best player on the Cavaliers when they lost to them was Kyrie Irving. That was the guy they couldn't stop. They admitted LeBron orchestrated a lot, and he knows how to run the team. But they said the player that they had the hardest problems with was Kyrie Irving. That's what he said. All right? Let's flip over here to the second screen. We'll leave Lord Farquaad for a second. This, let me read it to you. Kobe Bryant is one of the best perimeter players in basketball, per Danny Ainge, at this time.
If you want to see who really stepped up when elimination was on the line, you only need to revisit the iconic Game 4 against the Sacramento Kings. On hostile road territory, against one of the most cohesive and ferocious offensive machines ever built, Kobe did not sit down for a single second. He delivered 48 points and pulled down 16 massive rebounds to complete a clean sweep that left the entire arena in stunned silence. Shaq brought the brute force inside, but Kobe was the surgical assassin who dictated every possession and systematically dismantled a championship-caliber roster.
Okay, Game 4 against the Pacers, another huge one. And 2000 NBA Finals, Shaq fouls out. He's having a crazy game. Don't get it twisted. Shaq was a monster out there. He was a true demon, but he fouled out. And this is kind of the thing that was following Shaq. He always gets close, but was falling apart at the end. Kobe said, don't worry, Shaq. Don't worry, big fella. I'll take us home. 28 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Playing through a severe ankle sprain when Jalen Rose said on purpose, I tried to hurt him, not to kill him. I just wanted to get him out the series. The vibe. With Shaq fouled out in overtime, a 21-year-old Kobe took over, scoring critical baskets, crucial.
Right after that demolition of Sacramento, Kobe walked straight into the Alamo City to face the top-rated defense of the San Antonio Spurs. Going against Twin Towers' Tim Duncan and David Robinson, Kobe put on a mesmerizing 45-point clinic on over 50% shooting from the field. Greg Popovich threw every defensive trap and double team imaginable at the young superstar, but nothing could disrupt his lethal mid-range precision. When the games mattered most and the margins were razor thin, the Lakers did not rely on lucky bounces. They put the ball entirely in Kobe's hands to close the deal.
Ironic that when the things were the toughest, Kobe Bean Bryant was the strongest. So when you talk to me about GOAT case, LeBron is the worst when the stakes are the highest. Most of the time. So don't talk to me about LeBron James versus Kobe Bryant in a GOAT argument. LeBron James is nowhere near as good as Kobe Bryant. I don't care what anybody says. There's nothing you can tell me that is going to make a guy that's 4-6 be the same as a guy that's 5-2 that has shown that he puts the pedal to the metal. Without Shaq, he went to 3 in a row and would have won 3 in a row.
The ultimate test of championship heart came in the legendary Game 7 of the 2000 Western Conference Finals against the Portland Trail Blazers. The Lakers were buried under a terrifying 15-point fourth-quarter deficit, staring directly at a season-ending disaster while their interior offense stalled. Kobe stepped up with 25 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, and 4 critical block shots to stage a historic comeback. That unforgettable, roof-raising alley-oop pass to Shaq did not just punch their ticket to the finals, it solidified Kobe as the emotional heartbeat and clutch savior of that entire squad. The narrative that Kobe was merely along for the ride collapses entirely when you examine Game 4 of the 2000 NBA Finals against the Indiana Pacers. With Shaq fouling out and the entire arena expecting a collapse, a hobbled 21-year-old Kobe took absolute command of the floor. Playing through a severe ankle sprain from an intentional undercut earlier in the series, Kobe buried multiple clutch jumpers in overtime to seal the victory. While others might have looked for an exit or passed off responsibility, Kobe hunted the pressure and carried the entire franchise on one good leg. The modern analytics crowd loves to dismiss scoring volume, but Kobe's peak offensive outbursts remain unmatched in the modern history of the sport. Dropping 81 points in a single contest was not a product of fast-paced gimmicks or inflated transition possessions. It was a cold-blooded, highly contested masterclass executed against a defense specifically designed to force the ball out of his hands. Michael Jordan never hit 81, and the modern stat patters could never sustain the relentless mental focus required to outscore an entire opposing roster single-handedly through pure shot-making mastery. When you adjust for the slow, brutal defensive era of the mid-2000s, Kobe's 35-point scoring campaign stands out as an unprecedented statistical marvel. Hand-checking was still active, physical body contact was encouraged, and teams routinely failed to crack 90 points in a full game. Yet, Kobe was regularly putting up 40 points a night for entire months at a time, completely breaking opposing defensive schemes. He once outscored the entire Dallas Mavericks roster through 3 quarters, dropping 62 points before sitting out the fourth while the defense looked completely shell-shocked. The double standard used by LeBron defenders becomes laughably obvious whenever the conversation shifts toward individual skill sets and complete mastery. They try to construct an imaginary prototype player who must lead every single statistical column across 40 different categories to qualify as an all-time great, but applying those made-up rules to other legends instantly destroys their own logic across the board. Magic Johnson was never an elite lockdown rim protector, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was never asked to run an offense from the perimeter, yet their greatness remains untouched. If the standard is being the absolute best in every single statistical column, then the argument against LeBron James falls apart under its own weight. Is he a more creative or pure passer than Magic Johnson, John Stockton, or Chris Paul? Absolutely not. Is he a more dominant or instinctual rebounder than Dennis Rodman, Andre Drummond, or Nikola Jokic? The tape says no. Trying to build a legacy purely around cumulative box score stats while ignoring defensive accountability and pure one-on-one dominance is a transparent trick that seasoned basketball minds see right through. The biggest lie being pushed is that racking up longevity stats across 2 decades automatically outweighs peak dominance and championship efficiency. Nobody steps onto an NBA hardwood with the childhood dream of simply being the most durable veteran who sticks around long enough to accumulate counting numbers. The ultimate objective of professional sports has always been and will always be winning when everything is on the line. Inflating career totals while collecting 6 devastating finals losses does not match the relentless efficiency of 5 rings earned in 7 appearances against elite competition. When the stakes reach their absolute ceiling in the final 2 minutes of a playoff war, offensive isolation ability is what decides championships. Opposing defensive stoppers like Tony Allen, Bruce Bowen, and Tayshaun Prince have all admitted that guarding Kobe in an isolation set was sheer psychological torture. He possessed every counter move, footwork pivot, and contested fadeaway in the book, forcing defenses to play honest. He never looked to defer tough shots or pass the responsibility to a role player when the season hung in the balance. That exact contrast was put on full display during the 2016 NBA Finals when the Golden State Warriors faced elimination pressure against Cleveland. Former Finals MVP Andre Iguodala openly revealed that the player Golden State feared most down the stretch was Kyrie Irving, not LeBron. It was Kyrie's fearless one-on-one shot creation that terrified defenders and produced the iconic championship-winning dagger over the reigning unanimous MVP. When an offense breaks down into raw half-court isolation, pure unguardable scoring will always be the most dangerous weapon in basketball. The sports media establishment spent years trying to diminish Kobe's impact by unfairly gatekeeping MVP voting and pushing false personal narratives. They painted him as an uncompromising individualist while handing seasonal trophies to media favorites who folded the moment the postseason arrived. But inside the locker rooms and across team scouting reports, the respect from players was completely unanimous. They recognized that regular season popularity contests meant nothing compared to the fear Kobe struck into opponents whenever he laced up his sneakers under playoff lights. After the original dynasty fractured, the entire basketball world claimed Kobe could never reach the mountaintop again without a dominant superstar center. He answered those critics by leading the Lakers to 3 consecutive finals appearances from 2008 to 2010, capturing back-to-back championships against historic rivals. He did not jump from city to city recruiting pre-made super teams. He stayed in Los Angeles, elevated his roster, and took on the Boston Celtics' Big Three head-on in a grueling 7-game defensive slugfest. The standard that critics apply to Kobe is never applied to the players they desperately try to place ahead of him on all-time lists. If losing early rounds or having flawed teammates diminishes a resume, then every superstar in history would see their legacy dismantled in minutes. Kobe embraced the adversity, took every single tough shot, and accepted all the blame without making excuses or pointing fingers at front offices. That raw resilience is why true competitors will always hold his legacy in an entirely different tier of athletic respect. The real reason LeBron loyalists are so terrified of Kobe Bryant is that the eye test and peer testimony consistently destroy their analytical spreadsheets. When you ask the actual players who competed against both icons in their absolute primes, the answer rarely aligns with mainstream television talk shows. The sheer intimidation factor, the flawless footwork, and the refusal to back down under any circumstance made Kobe an entirely different breed of competitor. You cannot capture fear and psychological dominance on a basic box score or advanced spreadsheet. Manufactured criteria and moving goalposts can fool casual viewers on social media, but they can never erase the actual championship history written on the court. Kobe Bryant did not need favorable media protection or manufactured storylines to prove his worth among the gods of the game. He proved it on hostile road courts against the toughest defensive units of a generation, walking away with 5 championship rings. The desperate attempts by internet fan bases to erase his name only prove how powerful his lasting presence continues to be. The debate about basketball greatness should never be reduced to who can accumulate the most regular season statistics while switching uniforms every few seasons. It belongs to the Warriors who faced the greatest competition, conquered adversity without taking shortcuts, and delivered when the entire world was watching. Kobe Bean Bryant earned his seat at the ultimate table through blood, sweat, and unmatched mastery of the game. Anyone trying to convince you that he does not belong in the conversation is selling a complete fantasy designed to protect their own narrative. At the end of the day, basketball is defined by moments of truth where character, skill, and sheer willpower separate the good from the immortal. You can listen to the loud internet podcasts, the scripted television debates, and the endless stream of fabricated criteria designed to rewrite reality. Or you can look at the 5 rings, the shattered records, and the undeniable respect of every single legend who actually played the game. History has already spoken, the tape does not lie, and no modern smear campaign will ever diminish the eternal legacy of the Black Mamba.